All right, so there's two types of Five Nights at Freddy's creators on TikTok. There's whatever the fuck this is, and then there's some Five Nights at Freddy's theory makers, I guess. Is that what you call them? Theorists? Five Nights at Freddy's theorists? And honestly, bro, I went on a deep dive on Five Nights at Freddy's theories on TikTok, and I'm not gonna lie to y'all motherfuckers, I came out just as confused as I was to begin with about this series. Yeah, no, I didn't learn anything. It's a whole bunch of regurgitation of a lot of the same shit. Honestly, bro, I don't really understand why people continue to theorize for this game when there is never going to be answers. And at the end of the day, bro, if they were to like answer the lore of Five Nights at Freddy's, like what would that even be? Because okay, like people theorize about like a whole amalgamation of a lot of things, and then every new theory that everybody posts, I don't know why I'm going on a tangent, bro. Let's get straight into the theories. So I compiled one of the most interesting theories that I found on TikTok, and I compiled them into this video, and we are going to be reading them, and we're going to rank these theories on a scale of 1 to 5 on whether how believable they genuinely are. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, if you're in this video, just know that I respect you as a content creator. Please do not take any of this shit serious. I promise you, bro, there is a reason why I react and play FNAF fan games and I don't make theory content, because I'm too much of an idiot to do that shit. But you know what would make you not an idiot? Subscribing to the Glock 2 channel. Especially if you want to see me and the fan go on a date. I'm planning that video because you guys absolutely blew up the last two videos, so keep blowing up this video and I will. So the first theory we're actually going to go and check out is FNAF theories that were definitely canon at one point but were likely retconned. And he has a couple on here, or she or they, and number one is Gold Freddy being Fredbear.
Bruh.
Going on to the next one is number 3, the toys being possessed. So the toys were definitely supposed to be possessed at one point, and the whole criminal detection meant to protect kids thing was an excuse by the phone guy to explain their movement, but is now seemingly the actual reason, and it is confirmed by the fact that this was how they were in the movie. But if you ask me, I prefer them being possessed. It makes more sense to me than high-tech death robots created in the 80s for a pizzeria, but that's just me. I don't think I'm gonna, I don't like this theory either. I think it was cool that they left them because, okay, back in the day when you think of FNAF 2 and the new animatronics, as well as you think of, because I think even back then it was supposed to be a prequel. Correct me if I'm not, but I'm pretty sure there was evidence in FNAF 2 that it was supposed to be a prequel. Oh my god, we're becoming theorizing YouTubers. Oh my god, guys, please, Clock-Osama, stop. You don't know anything about this series. But anyways, I think back in the day, regardless, it was supposed to be a prequel. And I think it's more understandable for them not to be possessed and then the spare animatronics be possessed. But I also like the theory that the puppet was just controlling them all. Like, I think that's a way better like storyline than all of them being possessed, because what kids possess those toy animatronics? Now we have like 15 dead kids. It just, and then William Afton got away with all that shit. It really doesn't make sense. So I don't like this theory either. The crying child being the puppet is the next theory, and come on, not just the crying but the pattern on the shirt. He was definitely supposed to be it at one point. Nobody can tell me otherwise. I do not like this theory whatsoever. It makes absolutely no sense. Yes, he's crying, but so does every other kid in this series. They all cry. That doesn't mean that they're all the puppet. It just means that they're being manipulated or killed, or I mean all the bad shit that happened to kids in this series. Like, I don't think he was ever supposed to be the crying child, as well as not the crying child. I don't think he was ever supposed to be the puppet, as well as he got bit by Fredbear, so it would make more sense that he possessed Fredbear or Golden Freddy. Like, I don't think ever in this series was he ever tied to the puppet, and Charlotte being the puppet makes a whole lot more sense. I don't remember if there was any iteration of Henry back in the day when we got to FNAF 4, but I don't think he was ever supposed to be a puppet. Like, I don't see any, and the evidence really isn't there. And then the next theory is this being the bite of 87, and obviously there's a lot of debate and discourse, but his evidence follows. This one I'm the least confident in, but overall I do think this was originally intended to be the bite of 87. New gens may not understand this, but at the time this was thought of and likely was intended to be the last game. And also, the bite of 87 isn't really a big deal nowadays, but at the time this was the great mystery of FNAF, so I doubt he would just throw in another bite and never explain the bite of 87. This one I'm the least confident of because the Freddy and Friends 83 TV show that comes up, but that ultimately could be just when the show was started. But overall the evidence points is no, there is no evidence that, I'm not gonna lie. Okay, I'm just gonna rank this off the rip. All your theories, dog, 1 out of 5. I don't think I believed a singular one at all. This was actually almost like you intentionally got every single theory wrong. Intentionally. Even with the, like, okay, but we are saying this with hindsight, but at the same time I'm going back into the day, you feel me, like those days before the rest of the game started. I think that Scott Cawthon wanted to do more with this series, but he was kind of torn. Yes, 4 games, 1 story, I agree with you, but I think that that was intentional for him to basically move this to 1983 and then the bite of 87 being a different iteration of that. You feel me? Because there was definitely a lot more sci-fi involved when we got to FNAF 4. More sci-fi, you feel me? And if you watch this video that I just watched by Sire Squeaks, you see that FNAF 2 and FNAF 4 are much more tied together. Again, these are the professionals. Leave it to them. I'm not a professional theorizer, so if you came here to see some crazy theory crafting, I'm just rating a bunch of theories on TikTok. I'm just an idiot, so don't even be here for that bullshit. But I will stand by this. I do not think that the bite of 87 was the victim bite. I don't think it was CC. I'm pretty sure that it was just, everything points to it being like just 1983 even at that point, because when you look into the source code, the graphics that he had posted, some of them said 1983, the others said 1987, like, which is true and all that shit. I think that there was a reason. I'm gonna leave it at, there was a reason why he made this 1983. Okay, and if you want more explanation, I don't know why you're in this channel, but if you want more explanation, I will link down below the Sire Squeaks video and you can watch that whole 28-minute video, and I promise you, you'll understand what I'm saying. Like, there was definitely a reason why he pivoted towards 1983, and I don't think that was originally supposed to be the bite of 87, but I do think that Scott Cawthon does enjoy messing with the fan base, and I think that even back then when he made this game, he knew that it was 1983, and never did it come up that it was going to be 1987 when he was creating the story, because he was trying to wrap the whole thing up, you feel me? And I don't think that was supposed to be the 1987. I think he still wanted it to be a mystery, if you understand what I'm saying. I don't think he would just show us 1987 bite, you feel me? And I also don't think, but also this would make sense with what I just said, that Fredbear was the original biter, because he was, I don't know, guys. I'm confusing myself. Let's get straight to the other theories. Let's go to a different TikTok creator, bro. All right, so now we have a new TikTok creator, and this is all one theory, not multiple. So let's go straight. Oh damn, he's in FNAF 2. You get a phone call stating that the old animatronics were replaced, both due to their small and ugliness. Most people seem to theorize that the originals from FNAF 1 came before the Wizards, and that the Wizards were just a product of incomplete rebuild of the originals with facial recognition due to the ugliness, like the phone guy states. And we never used in location FNAF 2 during the MCI. The problem I see with this theory is that the phone guy also mentions that the odor of the older animatronics were the reasons they were sidelined for the toys. The description from phone guy of the Wizards aligns spot on the descriptions we have for the animatronics and Freddy's during the MCI and the newspaper clippings for FNAF 1. If the designs of the originals from FNAF 1 were used during the MCI like the retrofit theory states, now how exactly did the odor carry over most of their parts like the suits and would have been changed in their conversion to the Wizards? Also, I know people use Secret of the Mimic as evidence for the retrofit theory because it shows that the originals were made for the original Freddy's location. The thing is, Edwin literally has a line saying the Fazbear Entertainment wanted the animatronic, with him calling the new design creepy. As we know, the wizards are a lot more uncanny compared to the original, so the description that this would be pretty close to them. People seem to gloss over this detail when using the blah 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 evidence of the retrofit theory. It makes me wonder what would the other designs could exist in the universe that Edwin could be talking about. Also, given the fact that the animatronics intended to be first Freddy's are the only unfinished ones in Edwin's, it would be safe to assume that we were not used for the first Freddy's, and the designs were later finished by Fazbear Entertainment used in the rebuilding of the Wizards. Also, I know people use the line about the animatronics being described as being restored their vintage look in the week as evidence for the retrofit theory, but the thing is that this line could just mean that the animatronics returned to their fur textured look, as the previous location before this had toys, which we know is much more smooth and modern looking compared to the Wizards and originals. That's my take, at least. I know that's a lot of info in just a couple of seconds because that shit was going pretty fast and I don't really want to pause it because I'm too lazy. But basically, if you didn't know, the retrofit theory, also known as the retrofit animatronics, is a theory that the classic animatronics were retrofitted with the newer technology mentioned in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, causing their dramatic cosmetic change. Fazbear Entertainment would eventually deem the retrofitted designs unfit for the brand, retiring the animatronics and use them for parts. However, following the closure of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza in 1987, the withered animatronics were placed in storage for possible reorganization of the company. The reorganization would eventually lead to the restoration of animatronics to their classic design as seen in Five Nights at Freddy's. Side note, the theory denies the existence of unwithered animatronics, a hypothetical of the Freddy Fazbear Band that would appear as repaired versions of the withered animatronics. And as evidence follows in FNAF 2, Ralph directly states to Jeremy Fitzgerald on night 2 that the older models from the previous location were being retrofitted with some of the newer technology, but because the withered animatronics were just so ugly, Fazbear Entertainment elected to go in a whole new direction and make them the toy animatronics, a super kid-friendly version. In Into the Pit, which takes place in 1985, the animatronics were shown to resemble the classic animatronics. The plushies seen in the gameplay of FNAF 4 closely resemble the classic animatronics. Most of the Freddy's representation in universe merchandise uses the classic design. In the week before, Ralph is shown to be glad that Fazbear Entertainment restored the animatronics to their classic look. The appearance of Fredbear and Ultimate Custom Night shares a similar design to the classic animatronic. Considering Fredbear is a precursor to Freddy Fazbear, it is possible that Fredbear could have inspired designs of the classic animatronics in FNAF Secret of the Mimic. There's just a whole lot more evidence for the retrofit theory, but at the end of the day, he did do his research, and just for that, I'm going to give him 4.5 Faz tokens out of 5. And that'll be all for the video. I did a couple of theories, I think like 8 today, or I guess some theory debunking. Make sure you guys hit like and subscribe and hit that hype button. And if you guys want to see me debunk some more TikTok theories, hit that like button and come back to the Glaucosama 2 channel. I love all of y'all, and I'll see y'all in the next video.